is. It's like they're so big. No. Plague Marines. I give it to. I've only seen the Ishimura get attacked by one thing, so. Yeah, the Plague Marines would just move, and their stench would kill them. Yeah, that's. But see, the people who die by Nurgle die with joy and laughter, because decay is a good thing. Because death and decay is a sign of things moving on, and Nurgle is actually not like the gods are not necessarily bad. Yeah, they're fantastic, and that's why they got their power. Yeah, well, Slaanesh is definitely degeneracy incarnate. The other three hate her. Yeah, blood for the blood god. Well, it's their fault. You got everything you need? Burn will probably have to ask you to mute.
Hyrim. The rest of the squad is currently preparing for their mission on Duxon. You've just come out of a rather heated argument with Captain Candor and reluctantly left the Cutlass in his command while you tend to more important matters. You step into your private office, and you seal the doors. This room in particular has been customized exquisitely for your own personal use, and every single communication is end-to-end encrypted by some of the finest technicians in the Empire. You plug yourself in using several biometric scanners to take your eyeball, your finger, as well as your active heart rate to ensure that you are not under distress. And the images of every single pack member appear in a circle around you. And at the center, staring directly at you, is Kinrath, sitting in her chair comfortably at the ISB headquarters on Coruscant. She smiles and gives you a curt nod. Admiral, I take it you're ready to get down to business.
That's correct, Director, and I'll have a seat.
You take a good long look around you. You see Rancor, you see Gizka, you see Boma, Reek, and Calfhound, all of them reporting, all of them with a live feed. I will say you also notice that Boma, shock black hair, human male, has a brand new scar across his cheek, one that looks like it was made by a knife and is still healing, although it's still bloody and crusted over. He gives you a quick wink as if to say, we'll talk about it later, but all of them draw their attention to the center of the room, where there is a large floating map of the galaxy as you know it. Every space lane marked, every trade hub plastered on there, and Coruscant near the galactic core. Gentlemen, and you see Calfhound, the Duros of your group, lean forward in his chair. It's been quite some time since we have had a meeting like this, and, well, I must say it's good to see all of you, and I wish it was under different circumstances. But I have some updates for you, and as the one who actually handles all the boring paperwork and filing reports, you know, I don't get my own private starship like Nexu over here, or my own entire cadre of super spies like the Director. I can still do my job pretty damn good. You see, he takes a long draft out of the wine. Hyrim, you immediately recognize that as over 5,000 credits in that single glass that he sips out of. And he gives a wry smile. We've all been rather terribly busy since the old order fell. It's been almost a year, and we've made excellent progress, so much that His Majesty has deigned to honor some of our members. I will also give particular special treatment to Gizka over there. He's been assisting Grand Moff Tarkin greatly in his affairs, at least for Bothan anyway. And you see Gizka grin. I was the one it had to be. There is no one else who could do a job quite as well as I could when dealing with the politicians. Yes, anyway. The intelligence that we've been recovering over the last few months has been intimidating. I am afraid that the galaxy is not as safe as we would like to believe. Admiral, would you like to discuss the nature of your mission on Shola with the rest of the group?
Of course. I'll bring the galaxy map to the Shola system. As some of you may know, approximately 9 months ago, my squad and I were stationed here to take care of some business that pertained to civil unrest. However, those of us here, part of the pack, know that civil unrest does not just show up randomly. It has to come from something that stokes the fire. So, me and my squad did a little investigating, and although we did not deal with the civil unrest, we did find something that was more important. Two things. One of those things being the requisitions that we are all partaking in, except for Gizka, of course. But we all know that that came with a price, which was, well, we may lose the Shola system by my accounts, and I'll look at Kinrath to kind of, as I'm looking at her, it's just kind of a solemn look of I did not dot my I's the way I wanted to. However, we did find out something called the Jesters, and I'll bring up all of everything that has to do with the Jesters. The picture of the guy we captured, the different guns they were using. I'm not entirely sure what we figured out, but we left him in the hands of ISB to deal with political matters of the financial persuasion. So Shola is the first of what I can only assume to be many planets touched by the Jesters. Am I correct?
As a matter of fact, Admiral, you are. You see Kinrath lean forward in her chair. She pulls up her own files next to yours. Gentlemen, this is that man as he was delivered to my organization about 9 months ago. She pulls up an image of a body bag. This is him now. Before he died, we were able to get a good deal of information out of him. First of all, we were able to form a connection. The traitorous senator from the planet of Adzeri was indeed involved smuggling weapons, information, and a good deal of credits to the Jesters. The Jesters are also responsible for the terrorist attack that occurred on Dantooine earlier this year. They are responsible for a great number of money laundering and racketeering schemes across the outer rim of the galaxy, and we've even had contact with them on Zygeria. We sent a number of our agents into that system, but none of them ever came back, and the Zygerian embassy on the planet informed us that our interference was not welcome in their sector, and that they would overlook it as a favor to us. As such, I cannot risk anything other than direct military action, and Zygeria is not a system we can afford to lose at this time. But I would like to point out that Gizka, through his higher-ranking friends in the Senate, has been able to make a few connections. Yes, I have been able to use my position to, shall we say, put the squeeze on a few senators and their dignitaries. I was actually able to capture 2 agents, one that was planted in the office of the Kaminoan senator, and another that was planted in the office of the Alizok III senator. Both extremely valuable positions, both for the Imperial military and for the newly formed Imperial banking system, which absorbed the banking clans and the bankers of Munilist at the end of the war. It looks as if the Jesters are attempting to put sleeper agents inside our government, and a great deal of the last 6 months has been spent rooting out that corruption. Of course, all in the name of preserving the new order. As I'm sure you're all aware, the main talking point of those separatist wackos was the fact that the Republic was corrupt. We had to do everything in our power to ensure the public knew that we are honorable and trustworthy, and that we have no secret backroom dealings with those who have too much power in their midst. That being said, it's been more costly than I'd like to admit. The agents of the ISB have been particularly useful, and I'll admit, with some shame, Admiral, you have drawn most of the public spotlight while the rest of our actions get swept under the rug. Most dinner-table conversations evolve around you. I've been asked so much about you, I feel as if I grew up with you, and that is not something I want to pretend happened, Hyrim.
Apologies. I was hoping that we would be erased from the public eye here soon.
I'll see what I can do on my end, but as far as we're concerned, you're a public hero, and that's how we need you to stay. You see Calfhound lean forward. Honestly, it makes operating a little bit easier. I've been able to slip in and out of starports as a standard traveler very easily, and if anybody, well, let's just say, gets on my bad side, I've got the Admiral and his clearance codes to back me up. Point being, the galaxy is less safe than we'd like to believe, and these Jesters, well, I don't want to say this, but they're middlemen. There's something else out there, and I'll pass it over to our resident scientist, Rancor. What do you have about those hyperspace lanes you've been going on about for months? You see Rancor lean forward in his chair. I do have to say, there's quite a bit of hyperspace activity all along the Outer Rim. And I'm not talking about pirates or rebels moving into our systems. I'm talking about hyperspace itself behaving strangely. Admiral, you move around quite a bit. Have you noticed anything odd about your hyperspace lanes, or does the ship shudder a bit too much, or are your crew having hallucinations while you're traveling?
Hallucinations is a strange word to say because there have been a few, especially using our holy crap, our simulation room has been kind of acting fritzy every time we go through.
You have a simulation room on board the Cutlass.
We use it for leisure activities and going through history, as I like to do, but
That is completely fascinating. Please send me recordings of all of your simulations. If that has any effect on the mind while they're in hyperspace, that could be a small connection that I could use. Perhaps we'd be safer in hyperspace in simulation than we would be in actual hyperspace. And you see him rapidly take down a note as you interject.
I wouldn't say that they're more protected. I've had a few of my clones, speaking of moments that I had to do special psychological evals on, just to make sure that they were okay. Not the typical grogginess you get from a simulation, but I can't tell you what the strange happenings are in hyperspace, but I'm willing to keep an eye on it. But the other thing I think we should keeping an eye on, and I will actually be heading down there soon, my crew doesn't know it yet. What do we know about the Mandalorians?
I've been keeping track of any Mandalorians I run across, shaking hands and making friends and just talking to them about what their future prospects are. Over the last couple of months, I've heard them talk of returning to Mandalore, a few of them talking about rebuilding the clans, but the grand majority of them just want a home. And there's a good deal of conversation about them just trying to be a great big loving family again. A family loaded with Beskar and more explosives than any private army could ever dream of.
Then I will put it upon myself to make sure that when we head down to Duxon in the next few days, I will go down with the idea of making friends with them, the only way Mandalorians know how.
I will say, many of them have spoken very highly of their clan leaders, but none so highly as Gar Saxon. He is an Imperial loyalist, and if he were to take control of the Mandalorian clans, or even become Mandalore, that would be greatly beneficial to our cause. I'm aware that you have a member of the Tong race inside your squadron, and that he is unwaveringly loyal to you and your ship. If you could use him as a bargaining chip, as some sort of influential voice, he's already a famous wrestler. If you could use him, twist that loyalty, and make him endorse Saxon, that might have the entire Mandalorian diaspora on our side.
I can say that I'll do my best with Gar Saxon, but I want to make this very clear amongst everyone in here. Nobody a part of Saber Squad is allowed to be used in any type of ploy.
I don't know if I'd call it a ploy, Admiral. It's a genuine military alliance. And if such an alliance were to occur, the Mandalorians would be richly compensated.
Forgive me. I hesitate to use what I now consider to be family.
You see all of them kind of look at you, most of them with approving smiles. You see Gizka grin widely. I didn't think that you would be one to grow so attached to your soldiers, but I will not begrudge you to it. I'm quite fond of some of the senators here myself. Many of them are very persuasive. So as they all begin to kind of wait for the next one to make his bit, you see Rancor speak up one last time. Oh, yes, I did want to say, Admiral, there have been heightened incidents on the Outer Rim, and, using Gizka's and Cathound's connections, I've actually gathered a list of testimonies. They may be interesting to you because you're, so far rimward, but, Admiral, are you aware of what a Star Weird is?
I've heard of it, but I can do some studying.
Well, and I'll be sure to give you plenty of details. The Star Weirds are creatures that exist in the realm of hyperspace. They're strange and terrifying creatures. Some claim to have been made by the dark side of the Force, but there are three things we know about them certainly. They exist only in hyperspace. They are nearly incorporeal and invincible, and they have a taste for the Force sensitive. And, well, he pulls up a few documents. These are documents of a Jedi battle group encountering a Star Weird during the Old Republic. This is the last known recording we have of a Star Weird encounter, and that was over 2,000 years ago. He presses 4 more buttons. These are 4 reports from the last 6 months, encountering similar creatures, with similar testimony from the very few survivors. Something's happening, and I'm not sure what.
Has this been brought to the attention of the Inquisitorius?
The Grand Inquisitor has been informed, and he is studying it. He is reaching out through the Force. As a member of the Inquisitorius, we had hoped that your captain might be able to do something along with the other Inquisitor on your ship. You do happen to be on Duxon, an ancient Sith world, as my records tell it, and there should be a good number of temples there. If you are on any planet with ancient Sith ruins, one of your top priorities will be to examine the ruins and see if anything at all relates to the weakening of hyperspace or any ancient Sith doomsday prophecies. If we're going to be invaded by Star Weirds from every angle, I'd like to be aware of it before we're shafted.
On Duxon first, we'll speak to the Mandalorians, and then once we have their go ahead, meaning I don't want them stabbing us in the back for any reason, we'll go dungeon diving. But I will leave you with this. Do your best to start searching up the ancient society of Rakata. They were one of the first to find hyperspace travel. Maybe something they did to deter them might help you. I know those records are scarce, beyond scarce, and the fact that I know it probably is raising a few eyebrows. Trust me, Arcanian libraries are filled to the brim with many strange things, but I promise you, we might find something in history.
You see Calfhound nod very quickly. Indeed, I'll head to Lehan now. I'll see what I can find of that old star forge that Admiral Onasi discovered during his travels with Revan. If that's the case, I need to go now. Gentlemen, ma'am, it's been a pleasure. And Calfhound drops. You see Gizka smile. I have much business to attend to here in the capital, as I'm sure the director knows. I will keep in touch. And he drops out as well. You see Kinrath take a long, deep breath in. Reek, you've been quiet this whole time. I assume it's because you have nothing to say. Never really had much to say in the first place, ma'am. Good. Then I've got a mission for you. Head to Shola. Give me active reports on everything that happens, especially non-normal hyperspace activity in that region. Ensure that I know everything. Yes, ma'am. And
Reek.
Yes, Admiral.
Nowhere station should be above the planet. I left it there with 2 of my Star Destroyers. You can use 1,000 of my troops.
1,000 of the Admiral's best stormtroopers. I don't know whether I should be honored or threatened. They gonna turn their guns on me, Admiral?
I have no orders whatsoever to do so. You're one of the best.
I appreciate that greatly, Vicen. I'll take those troopers and I'll use them well. And he drops out of the call. You see Rancor pull up his documents, kind of put them back into his folder. I am heading to the far rim of the galaxy. I'll try to stay in contact, but I'm not exactly sure when or where I might pass in. But if any of you need me, find me in the sector of Endor, and I will attempt to get back in touch with you. And
Gotcha.
Rancor drops from the call. And last, you see yourself, Boma and Kinrath. This is just... You'd think after forming a new government, it would just be easy. You just walk in, take over, but now we've got to kill things. Admiral...
Winning the war was easy. Governing's harder.
You got that right. Look, Boma, you're still, quote-unquote, recovering from your injury. Have you gotten anything off of Atzeri yet? Unfortunately not. There's not much here to get. The entire civilian government is under military occupation, and they're not exactly loose-lipped at this time. I'll stay here and figure out what I can, but you two are best off on your own in gathering that information. Hey, Admiral?
Go ahead.
Get me one of those EE3 blasters. You know, the burst fire kind. Who's that bounty hunter that uses that Fett? Fett uses that thing. I want one of those. It's Mandalorian in design.
Fett's been dead for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's... Okay. I'll look into it.
Get me one of those things. They are nasty at mid-range. Like, I'm talking, they are so much deadlier than and his call cuts. Oh, I appear to have lost his signal. Admiral, you have your work and I've got mine.
Not so fast.
Yes, Hyrim?
How have you been, Reyna?
Honestly, I've been okay. I've been dealing with a lot, but it's... The work is not the tough part. It's knowing that something is happening. It's... I wanted to ask you, when that bomb went off on Dantooine, what's the first thing that went through your mind?
My mind went blank and my legs started moving. I didn't think. I just did. I don't know. I've read old texts about Karth and his time with Jedi and how they would speak of it just flows through you, this feeling. I'm not a Jedi by any means, not even close. But I just did what felt natural, which was when everything started getting worse, I stepped up. It takes a whole lot more to do nothing than to just move. I would be dead without Burn and Cot, that's for sure. But when I knew the bomb was there, I just grabbed the nearest kid to me and I threw him off the platform. Why?
I have a gut feeling. This whole thing, the jesters, the terrorist attacks, the corruption, it's not just... This isn't the behavior of a rebellion. This isn't the behavior of a government. This is the behavior of someone with an agenda. Someone with an end goal. Not economic or political or military. Whoever's doing this, whoever's orchestrating this, they want something and I don't know what it is, and I can't figure it out, not without more evidence. And the possibility of not knowing until it's too late, it terrifies me.
I think we can empathize with the Jedi in that part.
Well then, perhaps there really will be another Order 66.
I didn't ask for you to stick around and talk to you about work. We've kind of got a pretty cool kid.
She is quite remarkable.
Who would have thought she'd have a dad who was an admiral who rose up the ranks and a mom who could kill anyone with just about anything.
You see her eyes lock onto yours, and the steely gaze reappears in them.
You don't think Vochan was going to be her mother figure, did you? You look after her, you talk to her, she talks about you.
She simply stares for a few seconds.
I talk about you.
Do you?
Yeah. I just, I guess I never really saw someone like you treating a kid like you do. You look like you want to kill everybody you see.
It's because I do, but I know better. Let's...
Solba...
Go ahead.
Solba didn't like when I said this, but I only say it because you kept saying it when we were on Nashida, but it's gonna be okay.
I know. She hovers her hand over the disconnect. Hyrim?
Yeah.
A lot of my sleepless nights have been...
I know. Me too.
See her hand close into a fist. Not clenching in anger, just closing to give her something to grip. I love you.
I will always love you.
You see the faintest tug of a smile come onto her face before she hits the disconnect.
Are they talking about fishing out there? What the hell's going on? Lance.
Yes, Admiral.
Delete everything I was just said in here.
Like it never happened, sir. And the room lights up, the galaxy map dissipates, and no one else was in the room where it happened.
Wow, that was good.
Alright.
That was good.
30 raw minutes of roleplay. That was great. I